Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel, and today we've got a rather interesting test to run. It's a shotgun that you have not seen yet on the channel. I've owned it for quite a number of years now. It's kind of been just handed through the family. Doesn't really have any sentimental ties to it necessarily. It's just one that got picked up along the way somehow, and nobody's ever sold it. But I've wanted to shoot it for quite some time and definitely get to testing it and see what it could actually do. Because although it's not necessarily a super desirable or collectible shotgun on its own, it still looks pretty interesting, and I think it might actually be a halfway decent performer for us. So I figured we'll bring it out here and we'll do a little bit of just basic patterning with it, a little bit of a function test and stuff, and see just to make sure everything works how it's supposed to, where our point of impact is and stuff like that, so we can actually test some legitimate different loads through it as we get into the summer. But first, we'll take a look at that shotgun, that being this guy. This is an old Sears Roebuck Model 101-100. It is a single shot, break action 20 gauge shotgun. From what I gather with context clues and stuff on here, this has to be a pre-1968 model. From what I gather, as far as information goes online, these were produced by Savage from the late 40s all the way up into about the 80s or so. And considering this one does not have a serial number way to date it, I would imagine it's pre-68, and judging by just how it looks, I'm thinking late 50s, maybe early to mid 60s, somewhere right in there. But this is one of those old cheap workhorse department store catalog type of guns. It's a Sears Roebuck. Nowadays, you find these things at pawn shops for 150 bucks or so, but they still do the job just fine for a lot of people. And although this one isn't the prettiest looking, I don't think it has ever really been a major workhorse for anybody. It's got a little bit of pitting and stuff on top of the barrel here, but nothing egregious, and the inside of the bore is a mirror all the way down it. So we should have a pretty good performer on our hands here. It's a 28-inch barrel with a fixed full choke. For whatever reason, this choke seems to be a little finicky to actually measure accurately. I get anywhere between 588 and 590 for a constriction. So, I mean, 590 is right there with your typical 20 gauge full choke range. But overall, this is just, like I said, one of those catalog, budget, working man's, just meant to be reliable and affordable break action shotguns. Pretty interesting little design there as well, with the hound dog on the side, and on the other side you just got a big button to break it open. So nothing special or fancy about it. They're not worth a ton of money, they're not overly collectible, but it's just one of those old single shot shotguns that sits in the corner of the safe or in the corner of the gun cabinet, and I definitely wanted to see what it can actually do. So we're going to start today and do a little bit of function testing, make sure it hits where the point of aim is and stuff, and we'll see how it does, so that way we can move to a variety of other load testing through it as well. As for the shells I'm going to put through it today, I brought out some of these basic Winchester Super X Upland and small game shells. They're a 20 gauge, 2 3/4 inch, 1 ounce payload of 6s at about 1165 feet per second. Just your typical basic, not super high velocity or high pressure, low brass, small game shells. Obviously, I'm not afraid to put higher performing shells through that shotgun. It's got a really tight lockup on it and stuff. But for a starting point, to make sure everything is doing what we want it to do, I figured this is a pretty good place to start, and I've had a number of people wanting to see some small game patterning stuff as well with shells like these. So we'll see how it does, just for a basic, just lead number 6 small game type of patterning gun. So as for our test today, we're going to be running everything kind of the same as we usually do. Sometimes when I bring out different guns to function test them, we're looking for certain things here, but with this one, I want to make sure it fires and everything works the way it's supposed to, and I want to check the point of impact versus where my bead is, so that way we can hopefully keep it dead on as we start really doing some more testing. So I've got 3 targets lined up downrange. I figured we'll take a shot at 20, 30, and 40 yards with these small game 6s and see how it patterns. That'll make sure everything is working fine and where our bead is actually hitting, and we'll get an idea on how this old shotgun can actually do if you were to rabbit hunt, squirrel hunt, dove hunt, something like that with it. So let's get you guys a view of those targets, start taking some shots, and seeing how this combo actually can pattern. All right, we'll take a quick look at my chronograph number since I had that set up for us today as well. The claim on the box for those shells is 1165. We have a 28-inch barrel, and I believe we were bouncing all over that number. Our first shot gave us 1212. Our second shot gave us 1188, and our third shot gave us 1197 for an average at 1199. So we're actually averaging a little bit above that 1165 box claim. Still right about 1200 feet per second, perfectly fine for your average load of lead sixes. But let's head down there and take a look at some targets and see how it actually patterned. All right, so here we are down at our 3 targets, all of them set up side by side. We definitely see some pretty nice looking patterns here out of that old gun. It's surprisingly tight down here at closer ranges, but it evens out pretty good out at a little longer range. I think what we see here is more of a turkey small game gun, say inside of 30 yards. Once we get above 30 yards, that's where it really comes into more of a wing shooting gun, at least with these shells anyway. It is a full choke, so that's not overly surprising, but it's still patterned pretty nice. We've got 20 yards on the left, 30 yards in the middle, and 40 yards on the right. That gun functioned flawlessly. It looks like all of our shots were a little bit low, and we started drifting just a little bit to the right as we got at longer ranges. We do have a little bit of a breeze from left to right down here at the targets as well, so that may have played in just a tiny bit, but I can definitely raise my bead a little bit more out of the notch that's in the back of that receiver on that gun going forward. But it patterned pretty well, all things considered. First, we'll start over here at 20 yards. We have a 10 and a 20-inch circle drawn here around our pattern. Nice condensed area of shot that would probably be a little bit on the too tight side for wing shooting, but if you wanted to turkey hunt or squirrel hunt or something like that, this could be exactly what you need or what you're looking for. Within our 10-inch ring, we had 136 pellets, and within our 20-inch ring, we picked up 80 more of them. We did have a couple little flyers down underneath of the circles there, but nothing egregious or major. The white dot was my point of aim on each of these targets, so we're not paying too much attention to that now that we're seeing where our gun is actually hitting. But nice, solid, condensed area of shot for our 20-yard pattern, no question about it. I would absolutely run it for sure. Next up, we'll move out to 30 yards, and here we definitely see it opening up a little bit more. This is much more of your general all-purpose type of pattern. Might be a little tight for wing shooting at 20 yards, but here you could do a lot of stuff with it. You could wing shoot with it, you could small game, anything from rabbits, squirrels, that kind of stuff. And technically, if you really wanted to, these are a lead 6 at a good velocity, so you could still turkey hunt with that as well. It's tight enough to do the job in that scenario. But within our 10-inch circle, we have 72 pellets, still a nice even spread of them through there. Within our 20-inch ring, we pick up an additional 102 pellets, so we're definitely starting to pick up more of them as we get to the farther edges of the pattern. And now I've added a 30-inch ring around the entire thing as well. Within the 30-inch ring, we have 43 more pellets. So overall, that's a great all-around performing pattern right there at 30. You could do a lot of things with that combination. And it's nice to see that it's a pretty even spread as well. As we get to the edges, we do start seeing a little bit of stringy stuff, mainly in that 30-inch ring. You'll have a little clump of pellets and then nothing and stuff like that, but that is the far extreme edges. Our main 90% of the pattern is within that 20-inch ring, and it's nice and even. So still looking beautiful out at 30 yards for what that gun is and what the shells we ran through it are. And now finally, this is now 40 yards. We definitely favored a little low, and we drifted a little more to the right as well. So we'll have to keep this in mind as we do more testing with it. Definitely need to bring the bead up a little bit, and we'll see if it continues to stay to the right or not. But we have the same size circles drawn. Within our 10-inch core, we now have 45 pellets. So we've lost about 30-ish pellets from our 30-yard pattern. Still a nice even spread though. No small game or anything is going to make it through 45 pellets within a 10-inch circle at 40 yards. It keeps that same even spread out to our 20-inch ring with an additional 68 pellets, and we fill in the 30-inch larger circle as well a little more now with 65 more pellets, with obviously most likely several of them off that right edge over there as well. but we also started to pick up stuff a decent little bit more outside of our 30-inch ring as well. So our pattern is well on its way to spreading out and opening up. But still, anything that you would want to use just your basic low brass lead 6-4 in that old gun, if you're getting patterns like this, it's certainly going to do the job. Rabbits, squirrels, doves, whatever the case is. Technically, sure, you would have killed a turkey in that pattern too, but it might be a little bit too open for that for a lot of people. But it would have still probably done the job. But out here, much more of a wing shooting or small game type of pattern. Overall though, looking at these patterns, it's a nice performing gun to start with here. It is not a fancy setup. These are about as basic of a shell as you could get. We've got nice even spreads throughout the entire thing, all the way from 20 to 40 yards. Very usable patterns across the board. These are the first 3 shots that I've ever taken through that gun myself, and it's probably been the better part of 30 years, if not more than that, since anybody has shot this gun that I'm aware of. So it did pretty well, all things considered. Nothing I'm concerned with. I'll bring my bead up a little bit as we do more testing, get it nice and centered up, and we should have a pretty nice performing gun on our hands. After seeing the patterns down here at 20 and 30 yards over on the left and in the center, this might be a surprising contender with a good lead turkey load. Something like a Winchester Longbeard XR shell may come into play rather nicely for us here. So that's definitely on the cards to try. But overall, no real complaints from me. It did exactly what it was designed to do, what it was supposed to do. It did it back then and still clearly can do it today. Anything you'd use this combo for would certainly do the job. And here are the 3 wads out of today's test. We have 20 on the left, 30 in the middle, and 40 on the right. You can see how much cleaner the 20-yard shot was. That was the first shot we took out of it with a mirror clean bore, and we started picking up a little bit of soot and debris in the barrel on subsequent shots down here at 30 and 40. Pretty interesting to see that happening there, but no surprise, it's to be expected. Overall, wads look just fine. Nothing I'm worried about, obviously, and they clearly did their job for us downrange as well. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about this performance right here? Definitely a pretty interesting little test. I mean, it probably doesn't tell us a whole lot more than what we already know, but I wanted to bring this gun out and, slowly wake it back up from where it hasn't been fired in a very, very long time. I have never shot it, so I wanted to make sure everything worked as it was supposed to, that it patterned, halfway decently, that there wasn't something really strange going on there, which I didn't expect to be the case, but we had to check it anyway, and I wanted to see where it actually impacted based on where I was holding my bead. So now we've got that information. We can do more testing with it and see what it can really do with some higher performance loads. I plan on running some turkey stuff through it. I plan on running some buckshot stuff through it. We'll see what it's capable of. I mean, for a $150 gun, essentially, they're not overly expensive or worth a ton or collectible. You can find these things pretty often at pawn shops and stuff like that. So they were kind of the cheap catalog gun back in their day, and even still today, if you want a cheap, just pretty reliable break action gun, you can still get these, and clearly they still do their job just fine. Mine might not look the prettiest. It's got that faded wood on it with a little bit of pitting along the barrel that's been there for probably 40-50 years or so. It's in good shape, but it's a workhorse type of deal, but I don't think mine's had a ton of rounds through it, honestly. So I'm not afraid to bring it out here and try it and run it and test it with different things and see what it can do. So you guys will have to let me know your thoughts down below as far as what you guys might want to see us do through it. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is this about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Do you have one of those old Sears break action shotguns or any of the other catalog or department store brand style guns? Or maybe you have the full-on Savage variation of it. I think those are pretty similar to something like the Savage 94. And if so, what kind of stuff have you done with it? What kind of results have you gotten from different types of loadings and stuff through it? And like I just said, let me know what other stuff you guys might want to see us test through this one. Upland loads, small game stuff, buckshot, turkey stuff, whatever the case is, let me know what you guys might want to see. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.